jumping into the hobby helps the recovery of going through such a devastating time in our lives. We've made massive positives out of a negative situation. I don't want anyone coming out of this feeling sorry for me. Such a massive, huge part of A, who I am, and B, why Koi Fish Johnny exists. And that wife says, I've just seen a fish. I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, I don't think she's right, okay. So I turn around, I see this fish. Bringing colour back to a very black and white vision that we had is what the fish did, and I don't know how that's just come out of my mouth. When you watch the koi swim, there is something inside you that just calms the hell down. A, it's made me a better dad, and it has made me a better person. Reduced a lot of my ego. Like, I don't think I'd be doing Koi Fish Johnny if I hadn't gone through what I went through. A, well, I wouldn't have koi, so I wouldn't be Koi Fish Johnny. But I don't think I'd be YouTubing because in some weird way, it's given me confidence why I love growing these koi, what they give to my life, and why this hobby is so goddamn exceptional. Buongiorno and welcome back to Koi Fish Johnny and my wonderful koi pond. Okay, in this episode I'm going to be talking about why I keep koi, why I keep these beautiful swimming jewels in my pond, what got me into the hobby, what I take from the hobby, what I enjoy, and basically sharing my journey. So maybe it can inspire you into the hobby, or maybe you can take something out of what I've been through or what I've gone through or how I've got into the hobby. Anything like that. Basically, I'm just sharing my journey to help inspire other people into keeping koi, the benefits of the hobby, how I came around to the hobby, which is quite an unusual circumstance. In fact, on that note, I've ummed and ahed and gone sideways, up and down, round and round about the way that I can sort of introduce this subject, and because it is a dark subject. It's a challenging subject that not a lot of people talk about, but a lot of people experience in life. And I'm just going to dive straight in the deep end right now and sort of just get the big part out of the way. The reason we started keeping koi is that when we bought this house, it had a sunken pond there. And then something really bad happened in our life. The worst thing that's ever happened in my life. It's an unnegotiable negative. But we lost our daughter. Yeah, so I imagine that caught you sort of a bit offside. But don't worry. It's part of our life, it's part of who I am, it's part of who we are. We've grown through what we went through, and keeping koi was a large part of that. Keeping koi and jumping into the hobby helps the recovery of going through such a devastating time in our lives. I am finding this a little bit awkward to talk about. I am finding it a bit strange. But nonetheless, it's the truth. It is what it is, and there is no way of changing it. This isn't a feel sorry for me episode. This isn't a we're victims or we're whatever. We're unfortunate we went through it. A lot of people go through. Our daughter was stillborn, born sleeping. However you want to phrase that for the best of your to understand. But that's what happened to us. And I do lie in bed at night time thinking about doing an episode solely dedicated to how I went through that and how I grew through that, or how we did, but from my perspective, obviously, because it's me, in order to help someone reach backwards to go into my dark stuff to hopefully bring someone else forward. Because I know that through my own experience, when I was talking to people, the amount of people that came out and told me they had been through a similar, because you can't go through the same, a similar experience, and knowing that they've been through it and recovered to who they are and who they were, fully functioning normal people, believe it or not, really helped. So if I'm saying this journey to somebody, sharing the parts of my journey, I believe I can offer an unfortunate experience in my life could help someone else get through a similar experience in their life. And I really do think that the path that I walked and the way that we walked it together isn't perfect, but could help people feel less, promote their journey back to being the people that they were before, or similar to it, because that's life. Okay, so I've waffled on there and I've gone down the sidetrack, but I just wanted to get that massive big hurdle out of the way before we go through this journey, because believe it or not, we've made massive positives out of a negative situation. The negative is unavoidable, it's unnegotiable, you can't change it, so you have to work with what you can work with and try and control the controllables and move your emotion into a positive place, and that's what we've done. And certainly myself, it's had a massive, I'm talking about losing my daughter here, it's had a massively positive effect on my life at the stage I'm at now. Would I choose to not gone through it? Yeah, 1,000,000%. Would I choose to have my daughter here? Now, I would chop my ears off and glue them to my eyeballs to have her here, but I can't. It's non-negotiable. None of that stuff will change anything. But you are able to sort of change the meaning behind, not the meaning behind it, but I can. There's little things that you can do. Anyway, but that's for another video that I really, really passionately, massively want to do. But obviously, that would involve a lot of me exposing a different side of me that would make me a little bit vulnerable or a bit, I don't know how to phrase it, but you can understand the magnitude of talking about such a subject that is a real subject that we have really gone through, and like I say, it's a long old path. You never get back to full recovery. You never don't wish that it wasn't that way. But like I say, it's non-negotiable. You can't change it, so it is what it is. But this episode is about koi and their magnificence and why we got into the hobby, okay? So I'm going to flip it back round to talking about that rather than keep waffling on about the situation. But you'll see why I can't avoid not telling you that, okay? And why it is such a massive, huge part of A, who I am, and B, why Koi Fish Johnny exists. So if I go back right to the beginning, we bought the house, there was a sunken koi pond there. When the guy sold it, he said he doesn't know if there's any fish in there, he thinks that a heron's took them all or something like that. And it looked dark, it was gloomy, you couldn't see to the bottom, it was ram-packed with mud. Okay, so then one day we were sat at it, we'd just lost our daughter, Hallie, and we were both stood. Old bad habits come back into play. So I was outside having a little smoke and just basically doing anything in that raw moment of emotion to try and suppress that pain, that feeling, that horribleness that was in our life. And this can come to anyone in any shape or form, emotional turbulence as such. I don't know why I've just labelled it like that, but it's where we were. We're in an emotionally turbulent time. I was out there having a cig, little pond, and that wife says, "I've just seen a fish." I'm like, "What?" And I'm thinking, I don't think she's Anyway, go back in, come out the next day, same thing again, stood there, polluting our lungs. And they says, "I've seen fish again." Right, okay. So I turn around, I see this fish. So this fish is just diving down. You can't see, it was a muddy pond. You could literally just see the top of like the movement and the tail coming out of the water. And it was diving down, knocking the dirt, and the dirt would come flying up and everything. And it was remarkable that it was a fish. So obviously, being in the position we were in saviour mode. We wanted to jump in that pond and give that fish mouth to mouth. Well, that wouldn't have helped it, would it? But you get my point. We wanted to save the fish now. And that was our sole focus, was saving the fish and refilling the pond and getting it back to a level that it was and making this fish's environment as safe as possible because we're in this rescue mode. So then we do that. I dive in and we're cleaning out. I'm picking out clumps of mud. It was just absolutely ridiculous. It was more of a puddle than a pond. Even though it was quite deep, it was like 1 metre deep. And it was just like a dirty big puddle. Anyway, this fish, remarkably in there, and if some of my viewers will know, it was that golden half tench, Eric, which is unfortunately no longer with us. But anyway, we saved him. We filled the pond up, and then we filled it up with fresh water and got everything set up, and we had like a little filter. And looking at him, and we thought, you know what, he needs some friends. And obviously, koi being absolutely majestically beautiful to look at, and us spending a lot of time in the garden recovering in the state that we were and what we'd gone through, we bought him some friends. And this is quite weird because obviously I'm still friends with the guy now, Dave at UK Nishigoi. So I Google where to buy koi from at a local place. Koi farm comes up, that's 5 miles down the road. It's something like 5 miles anyway. So it's UK Nishigoi. So we decide to buy some koi for our Eric, his puddle that we changed into a pond now, so he can have some friends. And that's where we bought the original koi Otis, the Shagoi, Gimring Shagoi, and who was it? Otis, Jackson, it was like a Benny Kamonuru, I think, and Jagger, a white platinum Ogon, obviously after Mick. Mick, I say it like he's my best mate. The legend Mick Jagger. So we had those 3 fish originally. They went and scooped those 3. We wanted to know what the fish was called. We met a guy called John that works at UK Neshigoi, and he was absolutely amazing with us. Helped us pick out some fish. Just a super, super, super nice, friendly guy. When we went down there looking at the fish, it just felt warm and beautiful, and it sort of brought an enjoyment back to life and a calmness back to life, and a period of transition that made life seem a little bit more growth orientated and more beautiful, and bringing colour back to a very black and white vision that we had is what the fish did. And I don't know how that's just come out of my mouth, but it did. It really did. Sorry, I find this quite difficult, obviously. So you might find it to talk about. So you might find that this episode is broken down a little bit, but nonetheless, that's what we did. And then we sat there in the garden, and it wasn't like this at the time. Like I say, it was sunken there, and we had the conservatory there and that. And it's quite a remarkable journey when you look at it like that, where we've been, what we've been through over the past few years. So we sat in the garden, and we really did take some. There was something that the koi did that was just majestic, really. Watching them swim, it's just so calming, so refreshing. So there's an elegance, there's a swagger, there's a feel to the fish as they swim through the water. And at that time, and it still does now, when you watch the koi swim, there is something inside you that just calms the hell down. You slow down and you enjoy the moment of watching the fish swim. Now, my pond was sunken there, and I would 100% say it is always better to watch the fish from above rather than through a window. That's the only regret I have about that pond. I wish it was like, it's 1.3 out. I wish it was a bit lower, because when you watch a koi swim from above, it's majestic. It's calming. It's therapeutic. It's just an amazing experience. And then, like, we had Fred, the Karachi guy, when we got the Karachi guy, and he'd come up and he'd hand feed, he'd jump in your hand, and it was just growing through that hobby. And like I say, in a position of where we were, to have those moments of growth, beauty, and natural niceness, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. But I just know that the koi provided this for me, for us, for our family at that particular moment. And they are, and they will be forever, beautiful things to watch. And that is why I think the hobby has been going for, I absolutely have no idea how long people have been keeping koi, but it's a long time, and I can see the benefits around it. Obviously, if you go through my channel, you can see it isn't all plain swimming, plain swimming. There are bumps, lumps, and stuff to go through, as I have had last year. But the more that you go through it, the more that you grow through it, the more that your knowledge is acquired, and that you really start enjoying the finer parts of the hobby. So going all the way around it is, I keep these fish because we live in a world of now, look at me, internet, scroll, keep on. All kids, or everybody, on phones like this all the time. But when you've got a koi pond, and you sit by the pond, or you stand by the pond, and you watch the fish, you get in the moment, you relax, it calms down, it makes your life more level, better. For me, personally, definitely believe in this. And that is why I keep koi, because they are beautiful, therapeutic calmers of my life. To sort of share a positive out of a negative, because I don't want this being a gloomy, boomy episode. I want it to sort of leave it inspiring, or make it feel good, because of what this hobby keeping koi can provide. Is out of that negative, the unnegotiable negative about losing my daughter, is there are positives, so many positives, and I'll just share a few with you. Is A, it's made me a better dad. Because I'm more tolerant, and like when I hear them crying and stuff, I'm like, at least they're crying. At least I can hear them, type of thing, which is gloomy, but it does make me a better dad, is the point from that one. And it has made me a better person, because it's made me more tolerable, and less serious, and less reduced a lot of my ego. Like, I don't think I'd be doing Koi Fish Johnny if I hadn't gone through what I went through. Well, I wouldn't have koi, so I wouldn't be Koi Fish Johnny. But I don't think I'd be YouTubing, because in some weird way it's given me confidence, because I feel like stuff that don't matter, I don't care that much anymore about bits and pieces. I just want to enjoy my life. So really it's released me from some type of, like, not an ego, but like a fear factor of like being judged, and just to step out of that comfort zone and just enjoy life, because that's what it's about, enjoying life. And that's what the koi provide to me. It's what my life now provides, and it's the person who I am now. I've grown into through my experiences of keeping koi, and obviously the massive negative that I've gone through there. But like I say, in the future, I don't want anyone coming out of this feeling sorry for me. It's a well-walked path by so many people. The stats are just frighteningly high. It's like an unspoken experience that people don't go through until they see someone else go through it, and then they're like, you know what, I've been through that and it's not a nice experience, but don't worry, you can get through it. You can. You feel like you can't at the beginning. You definitely feel like that, but you do. You have to. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. It's been a weight off my shoulders sharing this with you about how I got into keeping koi, what they provide for my life, and how they've made my life better, how they'll continue to make my life better, because I might not get days as bad as that, and I hope to God I never ever do again in my life. But the negative days in my life, I do in the summer when the fish are a little bit more active, go out, sit by the pond, watch them swim, calm down. There's something about water as well, especially when you got the fountain on. The sound of water, it just chills you out and brings you around. Anyway, on that subject of water, you can see we're actually warming up the hot tub, so I'll be able to have a little drink tonight and chill out about what I've just said and sharing this experience. And I genuinely hope that somebody can take something positive out of me sharing my experiences of why I keep koi, and what's so great about them, and what's so beautiful about the hobby. Obviously, there's a lot more to enjoy than just what I've said, but that's the main bullet points about why I love it, why I love growing these koi, what they give to my life, and why this hobby is so goddamn exceptional. So please, on that note, have an amazing day or whatever you're doing, and remember to laugh more, have more fun, take life a little less serious, and control your perception about what's going on. It all ain't that bad, or 90% of the time it isn't as bad as you think it is. This is Koi Fish Johnny, friendly, fishy, fun. Take care, guys.